Dear friends, welcome back to Akshadare. I'm Devraj. I hope you guys are learning great and earning great. So today is 15th September 2023. So please subscribe the channel, like and comment so that I can bring very informative videos in the upcoming days. So that may be very useful for your skill development. Let's start reading the newspaper today. Newspaper reading, which is very important for the competitive exams, the Hindu paper. What is this? Central team to visit affected areas today. Jet visa for runway at Mumbai airport. Cole tells ASI to submit objects found. Janasena TDP to fight 2024 AP polls together. JSP leader Pawan Kalyan announces move after fire meeting TDP chief Chandrababu Naidu in prison. He says a proposal has been tabled before PM Narendra Modi to bring the BJP 2 into the alliance. Water levels in three key Kaveri basin dams below 10 years average. 10-year average. 6 children among 12 missing as boat capsizes in Bihar. Is a terror conspirator from Bishwamaga held in Delhi and is returned from Kenya. Government limits wheat stocks to control price rise. Hoarding. DALT to set up e-bicycle system in Malaysia for better connectivity. An expression of interest to establish an electric PBS system for serving ward numbers 45 and 55 was recently invited. NIPA, State Health Department issues surveillance guidelines. Constable caught accepting bribe. Lokayukta officials caught a 39-year-old police constable allegedly red-handed while accepting a bribe of rupees 30,000 for an official favor in Malur on Thursday. The accused Girish Haran, a resident of Mahadevpura and working in Masti police station in Kolar district, had demanded a bribe to release a four-wheeler that he had seized related to a case. The accused was caught accepting the bribe near Taluk Panchayat office in Malu, said Lokayukta officials. He has been booked under Prevention of Corruption Act and taken into custody for further investigations. 95 lakh lost by firm employee recovered. Celebrate Ganesha Chaturthi with bolas, dry fruit and nuts and sweets. Government preparing framework for fact check body. Priyank. Minister says it will be an independent body and there will be no curbs on freedom of expression. Probe into multi-crore cheating case involving Hindutva activist. IS terror conspirator from Shimoga district held in Delhi. Traffic curbs near Vidhan Soda today. Silver Jubilees. Three tree branch saves college students' life. Confusion over transfers continues. ED attaches properties belonging to Chinese company in scam case. Women in trouble after downloading fraudulent app. Vishwa Shanti Gagi. Vishwa Shanti Gagi Hindu Dharma. Thema past Street Ganesha Pandals Federation this year. SWR to run a special train to Murdeshwar today. Inviting applications for the post of IT fellows. How Kannada cinema debunked the pan-India theory. Small-scale films with fresh concepts focused on niche audiences have adopted unique promotional strategies to succeed at the box office. Unlike the big-budget films earlier this year finds. Earlier, a director had to convince a producer by talking about the benefits from the audio and satellite rights. Today, a producer is excited about a Pan India release without knowing the ground realities. The pact reminds that they could not create another KGF like result. Just George, Italian guitarist Carlo Pierenz performs in the city this weekend. Water levels in three major Kaveri basin reservoirs below 10-year average. Cumulative storage. Water levels in the three major Kaveri basin reservoirs below 10-year average. State likely to avoid a CWMA meeting outcome before deciding next step. Government officially declares 195 taluks as drought affected. Curb illegal sale of liquor smuggling. CM appreciates 19.2% of growth rate in collection of taxes. Officers must explore opportunities to detect tax evasion cases by intensive enforcement to exceed the tax collection target. NIA questions Shahapu youth. Why deep pocketed investors shy away from deep tech startups? While investments in deep tech startups have gone up in the last 5 years, the pace has been slow, unlike in the case of other sectors such as consumer internet or SaaS startups. Mumbai based Hadyam Theatre makes its debut with Harold Pinter's Betrayal. The play, originally set in London and Venice, has been adapted to mirror the emotions of the citizens of Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore. Karnataka in focus. Rog is virgin to the story from Africa. Not a policeman, but much more. He has recreated 1,350 fatty varieties. A rice variety to remember parents, tubers and roots are back on the table. These farmers in Karnataka are democratizing seed production. At a time when multinational companies have patented technologies and monopolized the market with the hybrid seeds. A section of farmers has broken free of their clutches by producing heirloom seeds and propagating them among fellow cultivators. Central team of officials to visit Nipah hit areas today. National Institute of Virology Pune has set up a mobile testing lab with biosafety level third standards. Five people have tested positive for the virus, of which two have died in Kozhikode. Annamaya clash. Naidu's bail plea adjourned to September 20. 23 companies in race for SSLV technology transfer from ISRO. Police should be cautious while invoking criminal intimidation charge. High Court. Tollywood director Nigerian nationals in drug bust net. Disentangling the 2030 global renewable energy target. Let's read this editorial page. The presidency of the 28th Conference of Parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change to be held in Dubai November 30 to December 12 has called for agreement on a global target of tripling renewable energy capacity from current levels by 2030. This figure appears in the G20 declaration too, though only as an aspirational goal to be encouraged. There is an undoubted win-win appeal to the proposal of this easily understandable global target. However, any serious deconstruction of this target should significantly dampen such enthusiasm. In 2021, the global installed capacity of renewable energy sources in total electricity generation, however, the contribution by RES was only 28%. More than half the RE generation was from hydro power, while solar 13% and wind 23% accounted for about 36% of RE generation. That is 10% of generation from all sources. Tripling RE capacity by 2030 implies a target of about 9,000 GW, which is more than the total installed capacity from all sources in 2021, adding about 6,000 GW of RE capacity between 2022 and 2030. Most of this capacity is expected to come from solar and wind. As it's time for construction and operationalization of any hydro plants will typically exceed the timeline of 2030 being considered, assuming a capacity utilization factor of 25% for solar and wind combined, more than is current. This implies the generation of about 13,000 TWh of electricity from RES alone. If growth in global electricity demand is at the pre-COVID-19 decade average of 2.6%, then the target of tripling RE capacity implies 38% of total global electricity production from RES. Regionally differentiated energy needs. However, there is no such thing as global electricity demand, but only a global aggregate across countries. Electricity demand across countries is highly differentiated, and the rates of growth vary from countries at different stages of development. Electricity demand is growing far more rapidly in developing countries currently. Electricity consumption between 2010 and 2019 in China and India grew annually at 6.6% and at 6.3% respectively, compared to a 0.3% decline in the European Union and a minimal 0.12% growth in the United States. It is evident that any substantial RE addition in the EU and the US must come from an accelerated pace out of their fossil fuel use by 2030. Currently, only 21% of the electricity in the US and 37% in the EU comes from RES, including hydro and biomass. If the US does not phase out its existing fossil fuel capacity, it will need only about 26 gigawatt of new GRE capacity to meet additional demand, and its share of the tripling target of an additional 6,000 gigawatt by 2030 would be only a measly 0.2%. At the same time, since India would need about 717 gigawatt of poly capacity to meet additional demand, its share of the tripling target would be 12%. On the other hand, if all the fossil fuel based electricity production of the US and the EU is phased out, they would need to add about 1565 gigawatt and 538 gigawatt of additional RE capacity. Respectively, again, assume current rates of electricity demand growth and a capacity utilization factor of 28% for wind and solar combined. In the second scenario, with a full phase out of fossil fuel based capacity, the US and the EU would account for more than a third of the new capacity, closer to their fair share of the burden. This would also allow developing countries a less onerous transition in the energy sector, without the North appropriating even the meager remaining carbon budget with their still considerable fossil fuel capacity. The OPEC origin of the global RE target. Unfortunately, the COP28 call for the RE global target comes with a severe lack of transparency as it to its origin. What we do know is that the inspiration flows from a report of the International Renewable Energy Agency that calls for total renewable power capacity to more than triple by 2030 compared to 2022 levels to over 11 tetrawatt globally. Information available on the IRENA website shows that IRENA scenario underlying the proposed COP28 target, it is very close to the first highly inequitable scenario that has been sketched here. In the IRENA analysis, most of the non-RE capacity to be added by 2030 is in developing regions. By 2030, 80% of the power generation capacity in sub-Saharan Africa is to be from resources, as compared to only 70% for the EU. The EU and Sub-Saharan Africa are projected to have about the same amount of RE capacity by 2050. Though the non-RE capacity in the EU out continues to be more than four times that sub-Saharan Africa, China, and India are to do much more. With India needing to exceed even the very ambitious 500 gigawatt mark by 2030. Lack of equity part apart, such absolute projections of installed capacity suffer from the fundamental problem of divorcing capacity addition from growth in energy demand. IRENA itself recognizes that relative targets are inherently less risky as they are less dependent on demand growth matching expectations. Further, if the entire burden is on developing countries, this enormous increase in RE capacity is not possible without matching non-RE capacity for stability of supply and the availability of viable storage options that are as yet nowhere near the scale envisaged by such ambitious targets. Finding the resources to build national grids adequate for their development needs at such ditching levels of scaling up of RE capacity will pose additional challenges given the inability to reach even the minimal annual target of 100 billion of climate finance covering all sectors. Targets for the three, but not for me. Targets for thee, but not for me. Last but not least, the most vocal proponents of this global target do not have any such a target domestically. When Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced at COP26 that India would increase its ambition to 500 gigawatt from non-fossil fuel sources by 2030, US President Joe Biden made no such promise or declare any renewable energy target, nor has the US shown any intent to declare one. Apart from a general announcement not committed under the Paris Agreement to decarbonize the energy sector by 2035, the EU too has only a relative target. Though an ambitious sounding goal of 40% of final energy consumption from renewable sources by 2030, but certainly not absolute. For both the US and the EU, these targets are essentially market signals, which the governments will promote but are not guaranteed by government intervention as in the developing countries. Developing countries at COP28, especially India, should consider the tripling global RE capacity target only if the North commits to absolute targets domestically. They are equitable and commensurate with their responsibility in an update of their nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement. Let's go to the next article, changing the way the postman knocks. The new post office bill introduced in the Rajya Sabha on the penultimate day of the monsoon session of Parliament is to replace the Indian Post Office Act 1898 in the light of the changing role of post offices, where its network has become a vehicle for delivery of a variety of citizen-centric services. While the 1898 Act had focused only on mail services, the new bill authorizes the Director General of Postal Services to make regulations related to activities necessary for providing various such other services as the central government may prescribe and to fix charges of them. This provision is important as a preliminary parliamentary approval will not be a prerequisite for revision of charges for any service offered by post offices, including traditional mail services. What changes? This aspect in the new bill gives the postal department the requisite flexibility in deciding the prices of its services in a fiercely competitive industry and help in responding quickly to market demands. Also, various initiatives of India forced to dispense citizen-centric services will now be based on a strong legal framework. The new bill authorizes the central government, which may, by notification, empower any officer to cause any item in course of transmission by the post office to be intercepted, opened or detained in the interest of the security of the state. Friendly relations with foreign states, public order, emergency or public safety are upon the occurrence of any contravention of any of the provisions of this act. Even in the existing act, there was provision for the postal department to open and destroy any postal article containing explosive, dangerous, filthy, noxious, or deleterious substance. Section 19, 19A, 23, 23 of 3A refer the provision contained in the new bill is more generic in nature and will arrest possibilities of smuggling and unlawful transmission of drugs and other contraband goods through postal parcels. There is no similar legislation for courier firms. India Post has a share of less than 15% of the market in the courier or express parcels industry, and so the effectiveness of the provision to intercept, open or detain any item in the course of postal transmission on the grounds of national security and public service has its limitations. A major part of the domestic courier industry is made up of a medium and small players. If the bill had any provision for such operators to register with any designated authority, and if the central government had retained the authority to intercept and open parcels in the course of transmission by the couriers, that would have given teeth to the bill to control the movement of contraband goods and goods in parcels. Futuristic postal delivery. The new bill provides the central government standards for addressing on the items, address identifiers, and usage of postcodes. This provision will have a far-reaching impact as the physical address may be replaced by a digital code using geospatial coordinates to identify a specific premise. Digital addressing, though a futuristic concept, may ease the process of sorting and facilitate accurate delivery of mails and parcels. This provision may even facilitate the delivery of parcels by drone, as is being experimented in some countries. However, there is a long way to go. The most important aspect of the bill is to drop the hitherto existing provision in Clause 4 of the 1898 Act. Central government shall have the exclusive privilege of conveying by post from one place to another all letters, and shall also have the exclusive privilege of performing all the incidental services of receiving, collecting, sending, dispatching, and delivering all letters. This provision lost its relevance over since couriers were allowed to operate in India since the 1980s. This happened because the definition of letter was not spelled out anywhere in the Act or in subsequent Indian Post Office rules. 1993. There is a huge grey area overlapping the concepts of letter and document in the eyes of law. What the couriers hitherto delivered were documents and parcels, not the letters. Once the new bill becomes an act, all these legal debates as to what constituted a letter and what did not will die down automatically. Whatever may be the legal provision, a commoner perceives a letter to be a written and personal form of communication between two individuals, physically conveyed by post. After the mobile revolution, the importance of such a written personal communication has reduced to a significant extent. As such, doing away with the provision of exclusive privilege by the central government in the new post office bill is a step in the right direction and an acknowledgement of the reality. Let's go to the next page. Broadening the field. Are corruption cases driven by political rivalries? Using cinema to stoke communal tensions. While Rajakars unleashed great terror in Hyderabad, violence was not always along communal lines. Two LET terrorists encircled in Anantnag say security forces. They were allegedly involved in the killing of two army men under DSP. Heavy firing was reported at Gadul on Thursday as two more soldiers were injured while retrieving the bodies. Contact was established with the hiding militants, say officials. Only talks will end militancy in J&K, says Abdullah. Destroying Sanatana is the agenda of India. Modi. Shaw asks officials to use a simple, clear Hindi, says it United People of Country. India blocked and boycott 14 TV news anchors, BJP deploys move. Congress mulling second edition of Bharat Jodo Yatra ahead of Lok Sabha election. All eyes are on the first meeting of CWC that will be held on September 16th under 17 in Hyderabad. Will ensure Gauda Seva Darshan for all. Quash report by editors Guild Mighty Body to HC. The IPIL also requested for directions barring use of the said report by any authority or agency. Journalist unions based in Impal had said the report was riddled with misrepresentations. Submit items found in Ganwapi survey to DM. Service codes tell ASI. Hopeful about women's reservation bill, BJP leader. SC information a click away as it giants national judicial data grid. All reported births, deaths to be digitally registered from October 1st. Wow. They will be registered on the center's portal. Amended law that paves way for use of birth certificates as single document for various services. Rubber crisis. Farmers staged still in Delhi seek fair price. Maharashtra Speaker use disqualification petitions. Filing cases on those bursting firecrackers in not a solution. Yes. PMMSY bridging gaps in the fisheries sector. 8 injured as business jet V's of Mumbai airport runway breaks into two. Teachings of the Ramayana. Wholesale prices continue to fall. LIC hands over check for 1,831.809 crore dividend to FM. August deflation in wholesale prices narrows to 0.52% from 1.3% recorded in July. Fuel and power prices whose year-over-year decline more than halved from 12.8% in July to 6% in August, led the narrowing in the deflation rate. ECB raises rates again even as threat of recession grows. Odisha unveils a special subsidy to attract investment in steel. Oil firms Mull is using stranded 600 million to buy Russian oil. Realty firm Signature Global unveils 730 crore IPO. Indian Bank to finance Maruti Suzuki dealers. Rubber board to increase area under rubber in northeast states. Singapore waste to value firm plans for India hub. Russia claims Ukrainian drones are destroyed in Crimea, Black Sea. Germany blocks a full Chinese takeover of satellite startup. Iran revolutionary guards chief targeted in French criminal plaint. Suki party says the Myanmar junta depriving her of medical care. Global aid support intensifies for flood battered Libya. Kim invites Putin to visit North Korea during a rare summit. Most of Libya flood loss could have been avoided. Hunter Biden indicted on three counts of federal firearms charges. Maldives frontrunner ice ties with China. High performance camp for Indian squash players begins in right earnest. Tejaswini takes 1 point lead into the final round 4-way tie in the open section. Sachin Tendulkar was a genius from day one, says Muralidharan. MotoGP bikes land in New Delhi, transported to the Buddha circuit. Bottas and Joe to stay with Alfa Romeo for 2024 season. Davis Cup not played on rankings. We have come to compete. Surya Kumar could get a chance against Bangladesh. Mandis and Aslanka script a thrilling win. The Lankan number 3 anchors the chase with a 87 ball 91 before the left hander holds center stage and takes the team home up the final ball. Rizwan Iftikhar knocks not enough for Pakistan. Shami understands the team's requirements. Rohan Bopanna, Indian tennis consumer team man who found the sweet spot. Wenger optimistic about setting up academy in India. Leatherback primed to deliver in the FK Irani Memorial Million. Bonucci confirms legal action against Juventus. Simron Ritika duo in last 8 of Vietnam Open Badminton. Shubhankar takes the honors in Dennis and Yona Jarvis Memorial Cup. A test for the faithful. As the setters fly to Hangzhou for the Asian Games, there is a hope. Chirag Swatvik and Pranay and Anxiety Sindhu and Sri Lanka for a nation that has witnessed sensational success in badminton in recent times at the global level. Test yourself on some assorted trivia and questions across various sports and games. Neural implants remedy hearing loss by integrating with the nervous system. Does vague nerve dysfunction have a connection with COVID 19? The implants electronically stimulate the cochlear nerve. Hearing restoration is the first successful attempt to integrate an electronic device with the nervous system to fully restore a lost sense of organ. Text and context. The trivial travels of gig workers. A survey report on food delivery partners by the National Council of Applied Economic Research validates several common beliefs, such as workers being young graduates who work extended hours for better pay and independence. However, the study also reveals the new insights. A sizable portion of them are sole breadwinners, and a notable share experience they drop in incomes compared to their previous jobs. The findings indicate a decline in their real incomes over time, even as the share of the income that they spent on fuel had risen, resulting in a double whammy. While a majority said they switched jobs to earn a higher income, their real monthly income fell from 13,500 month in 2019 to 12,000 in 2022 due to inflation. Government primary schools with only one teacher in Gujarat. Slight rise in wholesale inflation in August remains in negative. Amount of sugar to be imported by Nepal from India. Number of primary teachers in Odisha who took mass leave. Number of Chinese warplanes detected on Taiwan. Decoding the political messaging of a Jawan. While the Shah Rukh star raises issues that have been missing from the discourse of mainstream Hindi cinema for some time. Now, the treatment is more like bumper sticker activism that schools shoots the schools. Legendary English writer Agatha Christie, known for detective novels, was born on this day in 1990. He is a quiz on the queen of crime novels and her works. This is about today news, guys. I hope you guys will read for the 2 hours in a day to make you better in communication. So if you guys have any doubts or comments, kindly leave the comment in the comment box so that I can resolve your doubts as soon as possible. And please subscribe the channel, like and comment for more videos related to healthcare, education and personal interviews, especially in the field of education. So see you in the upcoming videos, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye. Take care.